Peace and blessings. What we're going to do is do a live stream today. I'm going to recap on the message that I started doing last Sunday. The title was called The 4 Elements of Truth. And due to all the listeners and people that's coming that want to follow this message, we have some technological interference. So the first message, there's pieces of that's available on YouTube now. But unfortunately, part 2 yesterday wasn't even able to get aired. So today what I'm going to do is recap part 1, and then I'm going to go ahead and recap part 2. So that way, everybody that wants to get the message can be able to glean from the understanding of the lesson that was presented. So first of all, I want to say thank you for everybody out there that's chiming in. And again, this is part 1 of the 4 Elements of Truth. And one of the things what inspired this whole message is in the scriptures in 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 4. To paraphrase, it simply said that that God desires for us to be saved and for us to have the knowledge of truth. God desires for us to be saved and for us to have the knowledge of truth. And so I want to bring your mind into the knowledge of truth. But also, the word saved in Hebrew refers to becoming free. So that God desires for us to be free. But then that freedom is attached to the knowledge of truth. Now some of us understand you go into the Gospel of John 8:32, where it says, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free," which signifies that it's a process to make yourself free. Now, when you look at the word freedom, the suffix dom refers to a state of being or a state of mind. So we understand that freedom is going to be a state of mind or a state of being. And the word free means to become disentangled or to be free from the self-contradictions that we do, or be free from paradoxes or operate things against our own self-interest. So it is the will of God for our whole being, for our whole interpersonal makeup, to be able to be free from our self-contradictions. A lot of times what happens is we get involved in things in our lives, and nobody's perfect. But what we do is we begin to accumulate the karmic ties. So we get ourselves entangled in some of our indecision or some of our mishaps in life. But the beautiful thing about it is that God provided a way for us to get free from that. And the keys to that is knowing the knowledge of truth. And the knowledge of truth, what I like to say, has 4 elements. And a lot of times in my studies over the years, I've come across a very interesting maxim by Confucius. And it says, as a teacher, I'll give you one part of the truth, but it's up to you to go find the other 3. So it's kind of interesting, and when I explored that years ago, I began to understand, just kind of went creatively deep into that maxim. Because a lot of times the arguments sit there and say there's only one truth, there's one truth, there's one truth, and all this stuff and everything. Truth is truth, but truth can come from a variety of different areas and sources. I know that disrupts some religious thinking, but I'm not here to appease to that. But understand. So I began to venture into that, and I began like, well, what are the other 3? And what is actually the 4 elements? So the 4 elements of truth. So basically, what I'm trying to bring out right now is that the 4 different knowledge bases that makes up or revolves around the truth. Okay? And so the first one is knowledge of cause and effect. The second one is knowledge of motive and intention. The third one is knowledge of morale. And the fourth one is the knowledge of how. Okay? So, up to this point, let's understand, so let's venture to the word truth, which is a lot of misunderstanding as well. In the Hebrew, the word truth means reality. It also means certainty. It also means balance. And it also means equity. And then there's you venture some of the Greek understanding. I thought this was really interesting. That it said that truth also means to be not concealed. Truth is not to be concealed, which I thought was very interesting because concealed simply points to that truth is existing or it is revealed, which means that truth is present but something must get in the way of the truth for us to be able to see it. And so the thing, the barrier or the link to truth or to truths is knowledge. See, we don't have the issue with the truth, but if you manipulate the knowledge, you manipulate somebody's truth. I'll let you chew on that for a second. Now, so going back to that Greek, it says not concealed. I'm reminded, and actually I ventured into in some other studies, and I came across in the Surahs, and it's very interesting. It says, do not confuse the truth with falsehoods, or knowingly conceal the truth. So we see right there, our hearts can conceal itself from the truth, or individuals in everyday life can devise ways to mix the truth with falsehood. Because truth exists, so you have to cloak it, you have to overshadow it in order for someone to be able to see it. But it's available. And as we begin to understand the four elements of truth, and as we begin to master these lessons, you can begin to learn how to ask penetrating questions, to be able to explore, and to be able to seek the truth effectively for yourself. So understand this, that's the next point I want to bring out, is that you should know the truth. It didn't say your friends should know the truth and tell you, or your pastor should know the truth and tell you. Even though we're spiritual teachers, we're given to. My job is to point you into the direction for you to find the truth for yourself, and to help others expound and provide exegesis and everything and so forth. But understand that the truth is your own individual responsibility to gain and to get, which I find is very interesting. It goes back with that maxim that Confucius said. It's up to you to go find the other corners of the truth. I'm presenting one corner today. But I'm showing you 4 different elements. So we have the responsibility to seek the truth, pursue the truth, and be the truth. Because remember, freedom is a state of being. So you have to as you get more disentangled, the more truth you have. The less untruth you have, the more entangled that you are. The more you entertain paradoxes and contradictions, things are operating against yourself. All right, I know if anyone's taking notes, I'm sorry, I'm kind of flowing. It's kind of flowing because it's a basic recap of what was basically taught. And again, hopefully I'm going to kick this over to YouTube as well, so you can kind of go back and look over it over and over again. You can take notes. All right. So, also interesting, the word truth also means to be genuine. So, what that means that truth, in the very essence of truth is absent of manipulation. The truth can get cloaked and everything, but I'm talking about the actual truth, the actual reality, the actual harmony, the actual balance. That is not manipulative. There's no contradictions in truth. Truth is it is what it is. So there's no manipulation side of truth. So I know the truth. It means I'm not entertaining a knowledge of manipulation. If I'm entertaining truth, that don't mean I'm entertaining a knowledge of contradictions. So if you feel like you're entertaining knowledge and you start seeing more contradictions in your life, or you start seeing like you start getting trapped in different things, that means that you're not being fed truth, or you're not gaining a knowledge of truth. That's a good discerning tool for those that are on the spiritual path that's trying to seek more understanding and self-realization. Okay? So follow through with me. So basically break out those different descriptive words of truth. We can say truth is knowledge of reality. 1. Truth is knowledge of harmony. And I say harmony because it says balance. So truth is knowledge of harmony. So understand the knowledge that leads you to harmony. To be able to harmonize within yourself, and harmonize with people on the outside, and also be able to harmonize yourself with God. Okay? Truth is knowledge of clarity. Truth is knowledge of discernment. And truth is knowledge of insight. You can venture into the scriptures in the Gospel of John as well. Again, in John 16, I believe verse 8 through 15. And you'll go in there and begin to talk about the spirit of truth. And one of the aspects you look at it very closely, to talk about the spirit of truth will lead you to, guide you to all truth, and also reveal. Also, another passage, in the Gospel talks about how the anointing, the Spirit operates, the operative spirit of the Spirit of truth, will begin to teach you that you won't need other people to teach you. There's lessons that the Spirit of God can be able to teach you. And I think as we begin to mature in our spiritual walk and our spiritual practice, that we can really begin to tap in with inside ourselves. In the book of Psalms, it talks about that God desires for the truth to dwell within the inward parts. So what that means is that he desires for balance to be inside of us. He desires for reality to exist inside us. He desires for certainty and equity within inside ourselves, because in order to bring that out in everyday life, we have to have it within inside us. Everything has to come from within. Okay? So going back, so like I said, truth is the knowledge of clarity, discernment, and insight. Also, truth is the knowledge of relations, or aka righteous. In order to have a right standing with people, and also having a right standing with God. You know, a lot of times I bring out that life is 85% relationships and 15% all the other different stuff. A lot of times, due to being warped into some of the dictates of the world or the daily affairs of life, we think relationships are only 15%. We think all the other problems and issues dealing with money and so forth is 85%. And that's not the truth. Okay? So, when you have truth, it begins to give you insight, or it gives you a knowledge, a bridge of knowledge into the relations. Also being able to, and the benefit of it, it puts you in a place to have right standing with other people. So think about a relationship that we have, you know, with our love interests, with our friends, associates at work and everything. If we function in truth, the truth allows us to have a right standing with others, as we're in the right standing with God, as we're aligned with God. Okay? So now, truth is also the knowledge of contradiction. That's very important, because a lot of times if you think about it real closely, we function in life a lot of times just living, just flowing in days of life, and not receiving knowledge of contradiction. Well, there is knowledge of contradiction that does come across. I'm talking about personally be able to filter all the information that comes at us on a daily, especially if you get in the information age, in the time that we live in. There's a lot of information being pumped out there, but all that knowledge is not leading you to freedom. A lot of it is leading you to blindness and to enslavement. All right? So, viewing some of the scriptures that I mentioned in the references, in terms of reference to truth, one thing you got to understand that truth is measurable. And a lot of times, some people try to argue that. I don't need to argue that. Truth is measurable. All right? Truth is personal. All right? And it's important to understand that truth is first-hand knowledge. We all have access to first-hand knowledge. Truth don't have to be second-hand. So anyone that's teaching you truth is making you dependent upon them. They're not really operating out of the spirit of truth in terms of reference to you. There's a side motive and intention there that you might not realize is there. But there's an ulterior motive, something that's really against your interest, because anyone presenting the truth is going to present the truth in a way where you can have it for yourself and be able to send you even further in your journey and research if you're trying to find your question, your truth that you're trying to have. So no one's going to try to make you, so I read the truth not going to make you solely dependent upon them for all your information in terms of reference to the truth. They might work right along beside you to help you discover the truth or help present the truth that they have, but they're not going to make you dependent upon it. Okay, so understand, truth is first-hand knowledge. All right. Also understand that there's scriptures that reference the spirit of truth, which is that's still in the Gospel of John 16:8-15, talking about the spirit of truth. So when we visit the words, spirit of truth, I want to broaden that understanding right there. What it says that is truth is present in all places at the same time simultaneously. Truth is infinite awareness. There's an awareness that truth will bring. It'll make you sensitive to the patterns that's going on in life. It'll bring you to understand what is going on, how it is going on. So there's an infinite awareness that truth presents. Okay? And understand that truth is a realm. Truth is an operative knowledge. It exists. All right? It's something we always can tap into and draw from. But we have to learn how to draw from it. Right? Because a lot of things in our lives that cause us to be concealed from it. And so as you begin to walk on your spiritual path, one of the things If you're sitting up under any good spiritual teacher or a good advisor or a spiritual counselor, or you reside in a company of truth, they will help you unfold to receive the unfoldment of the truth. All right, less of you and more truth. All right, and there's a practice and there's insights and there's guidance with that. Right now, I'm not dealing with that. Maybe at a later date, I can venture into that since that's just revealed to me. All right, but also. Truth is unlimited power. There's power in truth. That's why a lot of people have lost their lives over truth, or have been imprisoned in truth, or have been, relocated to different locations for the truth. All right, but truth is also inspired knowledge. All right. Now, also to go further, there's some things that truth invites. Truth invites responsibility. This is why a lot of times people really don't want the truth, because it automatically right there, you're accountable for what you know that you're aware of. So in order to have that accountability, they want to conceal themselves or entertain falsehoods so that way they don't have to face the truth. All right? So also, truth invites clear thinking. If you're receiving knowledge of truth, it's going to help clear, it's going to bring clarity into your thinking. It's going to give you that moment of clarity. And that's what a lot of people really desire, what we call epiphany. When you receive truth, that inspired knowledge, you're like, aha, I got it. That's the effect. The thing about it, don't have to be at certain moments, certain events. You can live within that realm on a continual daily basis. But of course, you have to fashion your life around it, harmonize it inside yourself, harmonize your relationships, harmonize your environment to certainly, that revolves around the truth that you're living in, that you're embracing, that you're trying to walk in and actualize in your life. Okay? So, then also, I want you to understand that truth is relevant. Okay? So now, I basically just recap right here. So understand, the 4 elements of truth is the knowledge of motive and intention. It's the knowledge of cause and effect. I'm sorry, I didn't mention that. It's the knowledge of morale, and it's the knowledge of how. So when we talk about the knowledge of cause and effect, we're talking about impacts. We're talking about results. We're talking about understanding consequences for our action, or the different type of responses from our actions that we project and exude. Okay? When we talk about motive and intention, we begin to understand the drivers behind behavior and behind activities that we see in life. When we talk about morale, the knowledge of morale, we're talking about environments. We're talking about relationships. We're talking about cultural trends. We're talking about groupthinks. All these, morale is very broad. There's a lot, just to name some of those different examples that kind of becomes that, that bucket list up under the knowledge of morale. And then also the knowledge of how. The knowledge of how brings about understanding the process of activities and actions or realities that we recognize and see. How brings us into the system of knowledge that drives those activities, okay, or that reality. Because we can invent reality. So you can invent reality, but you can discover how someone is inventing that reality if you understand systemized knowledge that supports or undergirds that reality. Also, the knowledge of how brings you to an understanding of the collective actions that is needed to produce a certain activity or a certain reality, and so forth. All right? So, this is basically the basic recap. Pretty simple. Hopefully this benefits everyone that's kind of viewing right now. And I just want to say thank you again. We're going to get into part 2. And I'm going to go ahead and break that down and get into what was discussed on Sunday. Sunday was very, very moving, very, very powerful. I believe everyone was actually there in person, really gained a lot of understanding. So prayerfully that you can be able to get that same feel, that same exposure as we get into the part 2. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and close on this part 1 for elements of truth. And again, love and light. Be blessed.